Deep-seated jealousy.
I don't know, man. Too many drums just freaks me the fuck out,
Yeah,
being honest.
We're right back to the what do I do with my hands thing. I mean,
Yeah.
You play the drums.
You play the drums. I feel like that's a good spot to come in. Hi. We are... I called us the St. Louis Drums, and I still think it's a terrible name. But what I was originally going to tell Rick, that Sam and I kind of talked about, is just calling it Show Up, Make Noise, because I feel like that's what we've always done, is just show up and make noise. So welcome to Show Up and Make Noise. I'm Zach. I am the, the loudest person in the room. I'll go with that. Let's go to Sam. Sam, you want to introduce yourself?
Appropriate. I like to think of myself as not the loudest person in the room, as long as Zach's around.
I want you to talk all the way into that mic all the time, because when you look away, you go away.
I like to think of myself as not the loudest person in the room.
Beautiful. I like that way better. And Rick.
Yeah, I'm Rick, and I like to be the quietest person in the room.
That is 100% true. Unless
I'll drink
Rick
to that.
gets on a drum set, and then Rick is the most impressive person in the room. So, why are you listening to us? First of all, I have no idea. We're three white guys with a podcast, so I apologize for that.
I think they call that a Congress.
Oh, man, I'm going to have to cut out so many of me popping when I blurt laugh into this mic, or I'm going to have to get way better at mic control. So we are three of the drummers from the St. Louligans, and we are here to talk to you about showing up and making noise. And that's because that's what we've done for the last 6 years with St. Louis FC. And I guess, to toot my own horn, we're probably the most expert folks in town at doing what we do. I could be wrong at that, but I don't know anybody else who's been showing up and doing organized chanting for the last 6 years in St. Louis. So if I'm wrong, please correct me. But I feel like we're here just because we've been doing this, and we want to start a conversation about what that looks like going forward. So, gents, any feelings?
Yeah, thoughts and feelings. Well, for those of you who aren't familiar, the Louligans have 3 rules, and we've used 2 of them to make up the title, or at least the functioning title. Show up, and then we make noise. So maybe what's probably the best aspect of making noise for us to explore right now is the biggest question.
Well, I think, part of it is, during the St. Louis FC era, there's at most 5,000 people in an open-air stadium, if you want to call it a stadium, by naming rights only. And 4 to 7 of us, were enough to make, the noise and the impression and lead that kind of energy. But you look forward, and we're going to be in, a 22 to 25,000 stadium with people who've never been part of this before, and realistically 4 or 5 people can't control that.
Yeah, and I mean that is it's definitely a very different world that we're going into, and I feel like, we're just trying to figure out what that means, right? Like what we're gonna do, because the 3 of us certainly can't do it, and I'm not. There are many other people that have joined across the years. Guys that started us, Dave and Ryan, and basically built the drums by hand. Put decals and painted them and everything. And those guys ended up kind of stepping back over the years just because of life and work and family and whatever else. And we've just been the 3 idiots that have continued to show up, I think is a pretty fair statement.
I think that's the best way to describe that. Yeah. We just kept showing up, and then one day we're taking, the drums and the gear home, and then we're like, well, we got to do it next week too, and then eventually it just became a thing. Like Saturday, 5:00, I'll tell you exactly where I'm going to be. You touch on people through the years, who have not just come and stayed, but come and gone as well. There's, there's been a tremendous amount of musical talent, like far and beyond what I am capable of doing. And so one of the conversations to come out of this, is how do we grab, those people who are also soccer fans on their, Venn diagram, and get them interested in, maybe not doing what we do, but being a part of what we do in some fashion.
Yeah, that's tough because I mean, like you said, there's lots of people who have way more musical talent than Sam and I combined. I won't speak for Rick. Rick is actually a really decent drummer. I am an idiot who can keep a beat on a snare drum, and that is basically it. So, but I am also, as I kind of stated in the very beginning, I'm just the loudest person in the room usually, and luckily I don't know, I'm quick enough and I listen to enough music that I can pick up on pretty much any beat, rhythm, song thrown at me, and I will make something up for it. I listened to a lot of Weird Al when I was little, and I wanted to be Weird Al. And because I wanted to be Weird Al, I've been making up weird words for songs my entire life. And weirdly, that has come in handy for St. Louis FC, and I guess now potentially for City. So yeah, Rick, how do we get people involved and organized? Because when you have 5 people or 7 people, or I think at max we had like 7 or 8. That's pretty easy. How do you get 20 people organized when you have a bunch of drums?
Well, I think the first part is to show people that we do have drums. So that might be our first resource and stepping stone. We've got about 8 or 9 people's worth of drums right now, I think. So maybe one thing we need to look at is acquiring a bunch of drums and figuring out which ones.
We definitely have, for the last several years, had more drums than people to competently play them. In various sizes. I mean, we've got the 22s, we've got the war drum, that big concert bass. We've got several different snares. I had a floor tom, that I spent half a year trying to figure out how to get out there and if I could, get off the bass long enough to play it. We have a Bush League arsenal, but we have enough to get started.
Yeah, and so that's, as much as anything, I feel like this conversation that we're trying to start is as much just trying to find the rest of you, whether you've called yourself a Louligan ever, or if you just like making noise, if you like playing instruments, if you want to get on board with people who are going to try and organize the masses into one kind of unified voice. That's essentially what we've done, and I guess I probably did a really terrible job at the beginning kind of explaining what it is that we do, because I'm sitting with 2 guys who know what it is that we do, but I guess let's take you through what it was to be a drummer for St. Louis FC, and then maybe we can talk about what it might be like to be a drummer or a capo for St. Louis City. So Sam kind of alluded to it, eventually there were guys that were taking the drums and there were guys that were doing all the drum things. And then those guys eventually couldn't do it or stopped showing up. And then it was Sam and I taking all the drums and doing all the drum things. And I started on the snare. I've basically been in that spot. And even before we had St. Louis FC, I brought a drum out to the Lions games and I would just chant and yell like an a-hole there. And nothing has stopped. So, but we would get to the games, probably about half hour, 45 minutes early at the latest, to get drums together, try and figure out how many people we had who actually showed up, and if we had any capos, because that was always our hard part for St. Louis FC, was especially towards the end, if we had anybody to help lead the crowd.
After Preki, yeah.
Well, it's demanding.
It is.
We sit there and, we'll bang a drum for 90 minutes, but, take 2 minutes off here and we got halftime. And so, but the capo is just screaming and screaming and screaming.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that I don't think people realize. You know, when you see Manchester United or in the MLS, the Sounders or any of those things, you see all the people cheering in unison, and I have to assume many of you never think about how that happens. And me, all I think about is the logistical nightmare of how to get both sides of the stand singing the same thing.
Oh yeah. I mean, have you ever seen a Timbers game?
Yeah.
There's just a handful of guys, and they're each one's on different scaffolding.
Yeah.
And they're completely in sync. It's an absolute nightmare. I mean, we're a foot and a half away from each other some nights, and we still can't.
I have to assume they're kind of like on an open channel or something.
Yeah.
They've got to be on headsets or something. And that's, again, something logistically we're going to have to try and figure out, I assume, moving forward. But anyway, so we would get there an hour ahead of the game, get the drums together, et cetera, et cetera. And then we would march in, say, 15 minutes before game time or whenever we finished our beer. Because they couldn't leave without us, so we took our time and got there in line when we wanted to get in line.
Especially when the team was bad.
Yeah, especially when the team was bad.
105 degrees outside on Sunday.
We got slower and slower the hotter or shittier the team was.
Yeah, well,
Stadium had just gotten rebuilt from flooding, so the old field is rolled up in the corner somewhere.
Yeah, that was a special time.
Yeah, we've seen some things at St. Louis FC. But anyway, we would walk up, get set up, and then we would try and play drums for 90 minutes and try and get the crowd energized. It's specifically Section 8, but I think towards the end, I think we had most of the stadium going on good nights. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we would just sit there and sometimes we'd do organized chants. Sometimes we'd sing "Take on Me." Sometimes we'd do Whitney Houston. Sometimes when we sucked, I literally found the text from Sam the other day that said, "You guys just want to do jock jams tonight?"
I mean, what else were we going to do that night? But yeah, and it's, somewhere in there, feeling the flow of the game is another piece of it. You don't want to do a shoot it chant if, right when you go to start, we give up the ball and they come back our way. You don't want to do a Mario, dungeon theme if every time we play it, somebody, the other team scores.
Retired.
Yeah, but I mean, there's chants that build energy. There's chants that push the team. There's chants that just
give us a breather.
Yeah, or match what's going on in the stadium. It's some of the players would say when they're during the St. Louis FC time, they're attacking towards us and they've got the ball, in the offensive zone. They're in that final third, we'll change it up and our chants get louder and stronger. And we had a bunch of players say that they could hear it and they feel it and they respond to it. So it's more than just how do we, bang a drum for 90 minutes? How do we scream for 90 minutes? But it's like, how do we, pinpoint chants for specific scenarios? And some of them really, lend themselves, they do it themselves, shots, obviously, for like a corner or something like that. But "Take on Me," 2/3 of the way through the game, a lot of people get a little burned out from chanting, and a good number of us have had a few beers, by now. So that's just a fun, ridiculous chant to kind of, take it easy. Everyone can just have fun with it. It's not something that you have to direct at the field. So once we get going for 90 minutes, it's a balance of, what are we playing and what kind of impact can that entire corner of fans and supporters, what kind of impact and energy can they give to the field? And that's like probably the hardest part of it.
Yeah. Finding ways to be a part of the entertainment.
Yeah.
Like people go to soccer games, especially soccer games with great supporter atmospheres, to be entertained, at least in part. Some people do. And we have to contribute to that entertainment. And it does kind of come at a cost, like Zach was saying earlier about having to show up to games early, get things set up and moved around. We're not really able to take a full tailgate.
Well, and I mean, Sam, on a high side, how many goals in 6 years? Now, granted, St. Louis FC did not score a lot of goals, but I would say probably a couple hundred in the overall time that thing was together.
Sure.
How many goals do you think you personally saw?
Just real quick, shameless plug. Although we drum at St. Louis FC games, I just want to remind all 6 or 7 people who are going to listen to this that we are members of the St. Louligans and do not drum for the club. We drum for the group. I would say at home at Soccer Park 10.
Yeah, if that
maybe.
I think I saw 10 because of penalties. Like
Yo,
I think
yeah.
I've seen at least 10 goals because of penalties and big ones. Like I saw the only one that matters to me, which was Sam Fink scoring at the death of the game against Cincinnati. I that memory is seared into my brain. Just the pure joy of seeing that ball go in the back of the net. But yeah, I think probably high end 30 total in 6 years that we saw. And that's, I think Rick was maybe saying earlier, it's hard. Like this is, I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but it's a tough gig. At 30 degrees and raining sideways, we were out playing drums. At 110 degrees in the burning sun, we were out playing drums. We play for 90 minutes the entire time because there weren't enough of us for any of us to take a break. We went until we couldn't go anymore. I almost passed out on multiple occasions. Sam went through bleachers once, I think. Didn't you slip through a...
No, the drum did.
Oh, the drum went through
I slipped and the drum legs went under the bleachers.
Sticks get dropped through the bleachers all the damn time.
All the time.
Sam got attacked by sticks because I would throw them or snap them in half.
They would snap off your snare and come flying. Now, me, on the other hand, I would just throw them randomly into the crowd because they... I'd miss a hit or I'd miss the rim and it would ricochet out. But yeah, no, it's fun.
It is.
And I wouldn't trade it for anything on a Saturday night with some of these guys and their friends. But there are definitely nights where all I want to do at the end of the game is put the drums in my car and go get ice cream.
Yeah, absolutely. Melissa started bringing me snow cones so I wouldn't overheat at halftime. But yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, like Sam was saying, I think a lot of what we do is feel the game and try and figure out what needs to happen at that point. Sometimes it's super easy. Like he was saying, we did shots at the very beginning. I was very happy we got away from shots at a certain point and started going to tequila because still a shot. We just have to sing less. And it's just a way more fun chant to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, we took a lot of things and we have quite a few chants that will transfer to city. There are quite a few things that were not St. Louis FC specific. Now that I look at it, a lot of our chants didn't really say St. Louis FC that much.
And I mean, we had, we only fit on some of our little pocket guides 20 or so chance, but if you go look and I look at the master sheet we've got, and I mean we're in the 30s, 40. It's a lot of chants that we have out there, and a number of them are going to be can be made to be city specific. Some of them are just soccer specific, and then some of them come in from our corner where we're just like, what the hell, let's have fun with it.
Yeah, I still want to sing Tyler Blackwell, even though he'll never be at our club, but I miss him so much. That was the one chant that I would always sing, and I would always know that he would hear it because he'd start dancing.
He'd start dancing from the other side of the stadium. He was on the field one game, and he just started doing his little shimmy in midfield. I loved it.
Oh, man. Tyler Blackwell, if you ever hear this, you will be forever missed in St. Louis, regardless of the fact that we no longer have a team for you to play on.
I'd like to take this moment to officially open the campaign to have a pair of his shorts bronzed and put outside City Stadium.
I am 100% on board with that.
Be a small
obviously,
statue.
what I think is not high on City's radar, but we'll get to that. So we would play for 90 minutes. The best part about our job was that we had a more beer chant, and when we chanted more beer, people gave us more beer. And I hope that tradition stays. I don't know how that works out in the long run of City, but take care of your drummers. That was the only. We didn't take a lot of money. We didn't ever do anything, for anything beyond. We asked that if we needed a beer, you bought us a beer. So, anywho, we would drink, we would play drums, and then at the end of the night, we would pack it all up. Most of the time, in some form of anger, and then go home and say, "All right, we'll see you next week," and then come back and do the same thing the next week. And sometimes we went on road trips. I think some of our best showings were in Louisville because we hated Louisville and we needed to show them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the greatest regrets of my life will never be having a drum at that playoff game.
Yeah. That was tough, but
Rip.
What are you going to do? We had a drum at that playoff game. We win that game.
Just one drum.
I mean, the first game ever for, what we would consider our drum corps was away at Louisville, which absolutely killed. The Coopers have come, miles and miles from where they were all those years ago.
Oh, but we made them look like fools the first time.
That's all that matters.
So
that's all that matters. They've gone to Kansas City. I couldn't even tell you how many times at this point for sporting and Swope Park.
Yeah, Swope Park.
The team formerly known as Swope Park.
Yeah.
The bizarre trip to Wichita.
Yeah.
The trip to Wichita.
The Open Cup. So, they travel with us and we try to get to the road games that we can get to and the cup games and whatever's important. And I would say it's more fun playing on the road.
Yeah. It is fun when another team lets you bring drums because you get to come into somebody else's house and try and outdo them. And if you can, which not because of us, but because the people that always come with us on the road have the same feeling in their head. When we walk into somebody else's house, we're going to outdo them.
Yeah, I've been playing drums at sporting events since 2004 when I joined high school marching band. And I've been pretty much doing it consistently since then, between that, college, playing with the Louligans. The greatest single moment is the Open Cup game against KC.
The first one in 2015?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
When we got shushed by Graham Zusi.
Yeah.
My goodness. We made so much noise. We say 300, but I'm pretty sure they were more than that. But my God, they put us in the top corner of KC Stadium, which was a terrible call because it was all concrete. We were in a corner and there was metal above us, and we reverberated like nobody's business. And we made the cauldron. We couldn't hear the cauldron, and they could hear us because we have video from in front of them where they could hear us. So, again, a little bit of a brag, but my goodness, what a game! what a game! So, let's talk, now that we've talked what we did, what do we think moving forward's gonna be? And I'm gonna ask that very specifically.
Man, it's a good question. I think that as much as we want to and as much as it's what we know, I don't think we're going to be able to pull the same tricks out of the bag, that we had when we were playing, at St. Louis FC games. I think this is one of those situations where, this analogy is going to offend somebody. A minor league player gets called up, that 70-mile-an-hour ball or that 80-mile-an-hour fastball that they could kill in the minors is now a 100-mile-an-hour ball in the majors. Bigger stadium, bigger platform, bigger stakes, more money. There's just a lot going on that elevates everything else around us, and making sure that we can elevate to that. it's not a matter of loud. I think you single-handedly are going to be loud enough to to handle that. But there's more coordination. It's going to require a bigger group of people. And we're not even at the point where we necessarily know what that section looks like, or where we can place people, or what those options are, to make those strategic decisions. But
this might be one of our first kind of open questions to the general public. Well, what kind of drums do the Louligans in general want to see? Do we want to try how much of the old jam band style from the FC days?
Yeah.
Do we want to try and maintain? How far along the more organized kind of almost marching band halftime show style drum line do we want to get towards? Is there something else that we haven't mentioned here? What maybe throw out ideas from the public. Maybe we go out, do some video research, figure out things that other supporter groups are doing, other clubs have.
Well, and that's really cool, and that's a really good idea and really good point. I think we also kind of did our best work in the last couple years of just opening it up and being like, okay, we're only as good as the crowd chanting behind us, some days. So it's what do you need to see from us to get you in the game? Is a good one. And how the other clubs work is huge. Orlando City, their drum line is at the top of their standing supporter section. So it blasts out over all of those standing sections. I mean, they have a ton of bass drums just on a line, but they're up top. The cauldron is right there, right in front. Some of the other clubs, you're in the middle, and you're playing with people around you. So those are all, different ways that it's done. But I think our biggest approach should be you as the supporters group fan, decked out with your scarf and all your other stuff. What can we do to grab you for 90 minutes and get you in this, and you have the intensity that we the drum corps, we the supporters group, we the soccer club, need from you.
Yeah. And it is, like Sam said, it's a vastly different realm we are going into. We had 300 people, and I am capable of yelling over 300 people. So it was easy to get people moving a different direction, or to teach somebody a chant that they don't know. Teaching people chants is going to be a totally different experience for us, because we did recordings at one point. We can probably do that again. But how to teach and get everybody on the same page of what that chant's supposed to sound like is going to be a monumental task that we haven't really dealt with before. And I want to hear, if you think you have a chant idea already, please send it in. Again, our point is to kind of head the conversation, only because we have done this. We've done this for 6 years. So we're starting the conversation, but we want to hear what you want to do, because it's not going to be just us three. It might not be us three at all if MLS has any say in it. So I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for us. So we need to know, like Sam said, what you want to hear, what type of stuff you want to do. I personally would love to have instruments. Rick keeps saying drums, and I want instruments because I think that's fun. I love a trumpet player. If somebody who can wail on a trumpet, you're my favorite person, because that, I feel like, gives another dynamic and another way to lead people. Because even if you don't know the words, sometimes if you know the melody, you can sing the song that was supposed to be there, and it still sounds good because there are 20,000 other people doing it, so it doesn't really matter. Just how do you want to get involved? What do you want to hear? Any of it, send it to us. And we'll give you some links and stuff on how to do that. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you and what you want from us. Cool. So we'll skip that. We'll leave some stuff for next time. Anything you guys want to close on? Because I feel like that's a pretty good spot to wrap up. I think first episode we've talked about trying to keep this short because we're not experts in anything besides showing up and making noise. That's why we called the podcast. Probably we're going to call the podcast "Show Up and Make Noise." It's what we've done, and that's what we're asking you to do: is show up and make noise, regardless of where you are or what you're coming from or whatever. We want to get new people. We want to meet new talented people because, like I said, it doesn't take much to be more talented than me on a drum. If you want to lead, if you think leading is awesome, we're going to get some people in here who did it. I did a lot of it, so you've already got me. But we'll talk a little bit more, song selection and what it's like to actually be a capo for 90 minutes and not be able to talk for the week after the game. Those types of things. But guys, anything you want to add on that? What you'd like to hear from people, or where you want this to go?
I think you touched on a lot of kind of what we want and where we kind of see this movement heading. Just to add on to it, one of the things that we really talked about, and we got pretty close to being successful with, at one point, is like, fills and coordination. So not necessarily the chanting, but getting the group of people, to keep a beat without, necessarily a counter or a chant or a chorus or something. Rick would go in on the quints because, he could do it blindfolded. You're pretty quick to follow, and, I can figure out how to do a bass line in there somewhere. But it would be, killer. And one of the goals that I have, that I know we have is, growing with some people who, have a little bit of that musical experience or have a lot of that musical experience, but who can just like wing it. Just get up there and just fuck it. We'll do it live.
Yep.
And I guess that kind of depends on, if that is possible for that to work, because I don't know that, being able to just wing it and go will work at that level, but I kind of hope it does, because I feel like, especially with the Louligans side of this, the Louligans, we have lots of slogans, but one of them is "This is silly." It's the name of the podcast. But the point is that we're supporters, man. Like we have literally nothing we could do with the game on the field. And nothing we say necessarily matters individually. But we go out and have fun, and it's silly, and we try to have a good time. Win, lose, draw, we go out and do silly shit, and we have fun. And that's kind of what I hope we can keep. Like, that's the one piece of DNA I hope we can keep.
We've been embarrassed on the pitch at a St. Louis FC game and walked away having said that was one of the best jams, 90 minutes that we've played in a long time. Mm-hmm. So it's not always about the product on the field, but yeah, it's, bringing that atmosphere and bringing that fun component to it, because that's the 1% of a game day experience that we can control.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I'm interested because I see a lot of MLS clubs do like Rick was saying, like drumline style drums, and that's fun. Like that's a cool thing to do. But I'm not involved in that. Like I'm not a drumline drummer. I am a field drummer. I am a jam band kind of drummer. Like I'm not let's roll for 32 measures type of guy. So Rick can knock that out of the park, but that's not me. So and maybe my role in this has nothing to do with drums, because realistically, I'm a better yeller than I am a drummer. So, but I've always felt most comfortable when I had a drum in front of me. So, we'll see where that goes. But yeah, in a way, I kind of hope that people don't want the drumline, like super polished drumline thing. But, if that's what people want, that's what we're going to get, like, regardless of whether we're doing it or not. So, and I'd like to be involved in it. So
it belongs in football.
Yeah, like, I feel like soccer is, like, if you listen to soccer around the world, nobody has a polished drum line. Like, it's a couple dudes and a trumpet player, and they're just, like, they're just rocking. Like, they're just having a good time and playing the songs, and you build and you drop and you find flow, and that's it. So I don't know. I feel like a drum line, it's hard to have flow with a drum line because it's hard to have that many people doing the same thing with the same flow. But maybe that's what we can figure out how to do, and we'll become the funkiest drum line in MLS.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure Nick Cannon's already booked. So
look.
No.
Oh, I really wish I could pull the show. But I can't pull the show. I know the name of the movie. What was his comedy show? Balls. All right. We got anything else we want to add? I feel like I tried to close out, and I started 3 more topics.
No.
That's the type of guy.
Yeah, well, that's, what do they say? Fix it in post. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do we end with? Up the city? Keep the Pantone flag flying high?
I don't know, man. That's the thing I keep trying not to get to on this episode.
Yeah,
so.
That's fair. Well, we'll table concerns for later. As a lifelong member of the I Hate Man City Club, a lot of the things that are going to carry over, I think, are going to take me a minute to get past.
Yeah, getting used to saying city for a lot of reasons for me is going to be tough. But that for sure. The only city I ever thought of in my head was Man City, and I never wanted to be them. So, I mean, I would like to win as much as they do, but I never wanted to be that club.
Is that where this team's going then? We're going to call ourselves City?
Oh, that's what they're doing.
They're doing, man.
They're about it. Yeah. No, they basically didn't even call us St. Louis. We are just City. That is.
Man.
Rick is actively disappointed in that.
But on the bright side, with our, with their new and only sponsor, I kind of dig the hashtag Up the Pups. That's something I can get behind.
Up the Pups? I mean, I'm for it, but is that how we're signing off? We're Up the Pups? It sounds like we're about ready to drink something.
Get him a puppers.
Get him a puppers. Hey, you want a puppers?
Go for a beer.
All right, guys. We are probably show up, make noise. We hope to hear from you. I'll see if I can change Twitter handles or if I have to go through and make new Twitter handles. But right now we're at St. Lula Drums on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I think TikTok. Anywho, we'll probably switch it up and or get some new Twitter handles. And show up and make noise, as long as that is a actual Twitter handle that we can get. If not, then we'll totally re-record this episode and come up with something else. That's probably not true. But we are show up and make noise, or the St. Louis Drums at St. Louis Drums. Exactly how you would think to spell it. I'm not going to spell it for you. Figure it out.
I misspelled it the first time.
But we are St. Louis FC drummers. We are here to talk to you about showing up and making noise, because it's all we've known how to do for the last 6 years, and that's what we're hoping to do again.
It's our entire personality. Please help us.
For the next 25. We know nothing else besides showing up and making noise. It's just one never-ending hell.
Sam vehemently disagrees.
As an extension as members of the St. Louligans, I'd like to thank you for joining our noise-making podcast.
Call your electric. Anybody know the phone number? I wish I did. I wish I knew Mark Gardner's phone number, and that would be the perfect way to end this, because he has nothing to do with this podcast.
Just total fake Louligan sponsorships all the way throughout.
And he doesn't like me.
Check out Belleville City Screen Printing. Is that what they're calling themselves?
Yeah. Actually, I would. Yeah,
I actually do go check them out. The new shirt
just
just came out. The Grief Pink shirt.
BSPC.
Yeah, check out BSPC. They really are.
Pre-order the new Louligan shirt.
Yeah.
With City Pink or City Red.
Pantone
Red.
And that would be actually benefiting one of the original OGs, Ryan Malashek, the original bass drummer for the St. Louligans.
Did he do that sick design that we've got screen printed onto our heads right now?
Yes.
I think he did.
Yeah.
The skull drums?
Yeah,
sure did.
Ryan
Yeah.
does sick design everywhere, so buy Ryan stuff. Just in general, go to the Belleville Screen Printing.
I already
Also-
pre-ordered my shirts.
Yeah, I have as well.
Shout out how far he had to drive to buy the war drum on like a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because and then shout out to Dave for getting that tuba too. So
Yeah.
we've also got a tuba random end point that we're still not ending on.
Tripped over the bell earlier.
Yeah, I trip on it all the time. Yeah, but anyway, go check out our friends. We've got lots of great friends. Thanks to the Louligans who will probably help distribute this in some way. And thanks for showing up and listening to us. You don't have to do that, but we appreciate that you do. And again, we'd love to hear from you. We will solidify all those terms, and I'll drop it in on the post or right before this. So that way we know how to get a hold of us. So thanks, guys. This is Zach. This is Sam. And that's Rick. And you can't see who I'm pointing at, so I don't know why I pointed at them. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.